Trauma can feel like someone stuck an immersion blender in your brain. It can feel chaotic, destabilizing, confusing. And if you're someone who's sensitive and intuitive, and that's usually what you use to guide yourself through your life, it can feel like chaos is the truth. And the chaos is lying. Hey, and welcome to my channel. I'm Mary, and this is The Inner Knowing, a channel where we realistically talk about what it's like to be a deep feeler, have intuitive inner knowings, and be sensitive in a world that's not always so kind. When you go through something traumatic, at least for me, in my experience, my nervous system gets stuck on. Everything feels like it's the next catastrophe. My brain is full of panicked thoughts. It's looking for the next threat. I can't feel my feet on the ground. Everything is destabilized. And this isn't just anxiety, it's anxiety times 12,000. And I'm someone who uses my intuition as a guide through my life. And I've come to find that when I'm going through traumatic times, that chaos sounds a lot like intuition. When trauma and intuition overlap, every signal your body sends out, every feeling, every thought feels like an urgent intuitive knowing. And the thing is my intuition is still active while I'm in this state. I'm still getting intuitive knowings, and it's very difficult to decipher what is actually an intuitive knowing and what is my panic brain taking over and making me panic about things that aren't even remotely happening right now. I've talked a lot about on my channel how intuition is typically comes with a sense of peace and groundedness, and it doesn't feel chaotic even if the news that it's bringing is difficult. But there have been times where I've gotten stuck in that traumatized state where my nervous system for weeks or months, sometimes years on end, is stuck in this place of panic. And I wish I could say there's a quick fix and that there's just some easy thing that you can do to tell the difference when you're in a state like that. But I think the best thing that you can do is give yourself the time you need to heal. Don't make any big decisions during those periods of time, or try your best not to. And if you do, really give yourself the space and time to think about it. A few years ago, my family went through a very traumatic death, and my intuition was absolutely tied up in this experience. And this is an experience that I haven't really opened up fully about on my channel, but one that I will do a video on in the future, more in depth when I'm ready, because I'm still processing, still learning from this experience. But my intuition was very much tied up into this experience. For months before it happened, I had intuitive knowings that I didn't want to listen to. When it happened, I had experiences. After it happened, I had intuitive experiences. And then all of a sudden, my intuition in and of itself became traumatic. And that was really destabilizing, um, especially because I used my intuition for literally everything. Someone who is very young in my family passed away unexpectedly, even though I had a knowing that it was going to happen, but I didn't want to believe that it was true, and I didn't know how to tell anybody. And I remember, like, I was there when this happened, and I remember looking at my dad, because my biggest fear in the world is losing my dad. And I mean, that's not something that I get to escape, right? Like, my dad will pass away at some point. But this experience kind of like sent me into this. I had intuitive knowings about these things, and now I feel like my dad is going to pass away. And I mean, I was I was convinced that my dad was going to die in the next year, and then it became the next 2 years, and it just kept pushing out. And every time my dad would get sick or he would talk about something feeling off in his body, I would have an internal panic attack, because I had convinced myself that this was in my intuition, and I knew he was going to die. And that was terrifying. And the thing that made it scarier is that he will die at some point, but it doesn't mean that he was going to die exactly when I felt like he was going to, even if I had a bunch of intuitive knowings about someone who did die when I felt like they were going to. I had to learn the hard way that I can't listen to my intuition in moments like that because my nervous system is set off. I'm dysregulated. And a lot of times when I go through something traumatic, I get stuck in a dysregulated state. I had never been in one like I was in that experience. That was, to this day, the most insane experience I've ever had. But I had to learn that there was no quick fix to coming back down to a place where I feel grounded enough to listen to my intuition. There was the me before the trauma and the me after the trauma. And the me before the trauma had just gotten to a point where she was really allowing herself to listen to her intuition and was making a relationship with that. And this traumatic thing just came in and just swept me off the ground that I had just laid down. And I've had to take time to allow my nervous system to come down. I had to recognize that during those months that I was stuck in fight or flight that I couldn't get out of, that not even medication really helped with, that was not the time for me to be making big life decisions. And I made some big life decisions during that time that I ended up regretting. I had to learn that grounding back down wasn't going to happen as quickly because my intuition was tangled up in this. So there was going to be chaos and confusion, and I might not be able to hear my intuition clearly for quite some time. So for me, this was like navigating the world blindly. I had to learn the difference between panic and clarity. I had to learn that my anxiety isn't going to kill me. It might feel like it is, but it's also, it can sound like it's screaming the truth when it's just trying to keep me safe. And I got stuck in that fear for a very long time. And I thought I was listening to my intuition, and I wasn't. I was listening to my fear, and I let it make a lot of choices for me. Eventually, after spending so much time stuck in the fear, I finally realized, okay, it's been like a while since this traumatic thing happened. And these things that I keep feeling like are urgently going to happen aren't happening. So maybe this isn't my intuition. Maybe this is my fear screaming. And maybe it's okay for me to take a step back and just let that fear be there, but know that I don't have to necessarily listen to it. And this took so much time. It took way too long. But like, we don't really have control over how our brains react to traumatic experiences. They react the way they're going to react, and we have to do what we can to help them through it. The goal wasn't to eliminate the fear or the anxiety, it was to befriend it. And I had built up, before the passing happened, I had gotten to this place of like, I listen to my intuition, I only listen to my intuition, and I hate my anxiety, and anxiety needs to be eradicated. And then I was bitch slapped with, well, your anxiety isn't going anywhere. What are you going to do now? Because anxiety is a part of this. Anxiety is going to be here. Anxiety is going to come up. You have a naturally anxious brain. What are you going to do? Because as a sensitive person, I do. My nervous system is sensitive. My brain is sensitive to change, to everything. So when something comes in and absolutely just destabilizes the shit out of my life, I can't ignore anxiety. I can't pretend anxiety isn't there. I can't pretend I conquered it like I had so conveniently convinced myself that I had before I got a big dose of a reality check. I had to come to terms with the fact that anxiety and fear is a part of life. And sometimes it's going to come up in little cute waves that I can just, step over, and sometimes it's going to absolutely knock me on my ass. I slowly had to start deciphering this, and I had to start noticing, okay, When that intuitive feeling comes up, because it was still happening while I was stuck in the fear, and I'm still not all the way to the place where I was with my intuition before the passing happened. I'm still integrating this experience almost 4 years later. But I had to learn to fall in love with the process of finding my balance every day. It couldn't be I'm looking at this and I'm looking at this mountain of like, I was here and I want to get back to this place of peace and I don't want to go through all of this shit. But the only way out is through. And trauma is something that you have to take one day at a time. You have to learn to decipher the fear from the intuition, from the I just need a minute. When I finally came to that realization that fear was not going to go anywhere, that I couldn't just ignore fear away, that I couldn't just bypass it or control it or conquer it, that the fear that erupted within me from this experience was something that I had to feel my way through. And it's not just a, oh, I feel it today and it's gone tomorrow. It's a, I feel it today. Maybe I feel a little less the next day. And then Thursday, it's back through the roof and I'm hyperventilating, waking up from my sleep. And then I get 2 days where I feel a little bit more relaxed. Like that's what it looks like. And I had to learn to fall in love with my anxious brain. The fear driven parts of myself that got awakened in a way that I had never experienced before. Something that I talk about a lot on my channel is the absolute value of having a deep connected relationship with yourself and forming that connection through something greater than yourself. Because for me, if I think that everything is on me, I get overwhelmed. It helps me to trust that there's something else out there guiding me. And it's something that I've had a lot of experience with. I have a lot of intuitive knowings. And in those times when I feel like I can't touch the ground, on those days where I feel like the world is ending and we're never getting out of this, those are the days where I need that thing that's greater than me guiding me through it. That's what keeps me grounded. Even when I don't feel grounded at all, trusting that something is helping me through this, that those little moments of peace come through where I can touch my intuition for a moment or feel connection with someone else for a moment. That's how I come back down to my grounded reality, how I come back to my intuition. So if you're going through something traumatic, if you've been through something traumatic and you feel like you should be over it already, don't put that kind of time restraint on yourself. Let it be one day at a time, because if you're sensitive, a lot of times we look very far into the future and it's, well, how the hell am I going to get through this? And you're not going to get through it looking at the whole mountain and just standing there waiting for it to go away. You're going to get through it by being a mess and being human and always coming back to a place of groundedness, forming a deeper and deeper relationship with yourself, learning and understanding your new brain because a traumatic event changed your brain, learning and understanding new ways to befriend how your brain works now and what it needs. And maybe one day you get back to the place you were, maybe you get to an even better place, but you have to take it one day at a time. In the meantime, don't trust everything that comes through your head, which is hard when your head is screaming at you. And I get it. And sometimes we need to numb out, but always be making some kind of effort to notice you coming out of it a little bit more and a little bit more and allowing your intuition to be there and deciphering fear from intuition. And when you move through it, you learn through it and you become stronger. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.